Welcome to Rad Rolls, Union Dispatch. We are a tabletop role-playing group that records actual plays of Modiphius's Fallout 2d20. The podcast contains mature themes present in the Fallout series with a dark comedy spin. This begins our first 4 episodes taking place in Fallout 76's The Pitt, with brand new characters. Let's begin in The Pitt.
Hey everybody, welcome to Rad Rules. My name is Dave Chaffins. I am the game master of this podcast. We are playing Fallout 2d20. It's the Fallout tabletop role-playing game by Modiphius. As always, we are raising money for Extra Life. We're doing a big push this month. So if you don't know, Extra Life is a fundraiser through the Children's Miracle Network. And it's a great cause. It's a great opportunity to donate. And why don't you come over and see our page and throw in a donation or two? That would be really nice. That would be really helpful. We don't make any money from this podcast. That's what we do. So go ahead and give it a look up. It does some really great stuff in the communities. I think this year we're doing the New Orleans Children's Area Hospital. So give that a look up. Give that a shout out. Now, today, we are doing a very special one-shot in 4 parts in The Pitt, made famous by the Fallout 3 DLC and the Fallout 76 Expedition that's coming out here in just a little bit. It's just a week or 2 away. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm sure other people are as well. But let's go around. Let's start introducing the people. And let's introduce their characters as well. I'm going to start from my screen and read the backwards way, which doesn't make any sense. So I will start with Cody. How you doing?
I am doing well. So I am Cody. I'm going to be playing the character Timmy Dendron for this one-off. Timmy Dendron was a botanist pre-war. He was a very nerdy individual, did a lot of work with ornamental plants. Unfortunately, not a lot of those plants are still alive, and Timmy is very upset about that. He's been in search of better places throughout the country to find his true calling again and look for more interesting plants. That don't want to kill him, as many do in the Wasteland. Timmy is also, how should I put it, anti-confrontational to a very big fault. And in this specific instance, he has been roped into a union simply because somebody asked him to join and he was too afraid to say no.
I like Timmy. I like that he's into plants. I am very curious as to his reaction and being in a dense city where they make steel. Doesn't seem very connected to plants, but we will certainly see what Timmy's up to and doing. Next up in my list, we've got Jared.
Oh, it me. Hello, my name is Jared, also known as Dr. J, also known as Lonnie Haybear in the normal adventure that we play here. You can find me at WSHU Blaseball as the voice of the Charleston Shoothies. If you're familiar with Blaseball, you can also find me at Maximum Pew Pew, an actual play role-playing game podcast where we play some Starfinder, some Tales of the Loop, Things from the Flood, other cool things like that. But tonight, and for the next 4 sessions, I will be Cross, a ghoul that has some pretty pitiful conflict resolution skills, known as Cross probably because of his demeanor, as well as the fact that he likes to throw punches as though it's his job. He is a bit of a pugilist, and his employment with the Pit is likely for some honest money that probably would enable him to punch other people if he needed to. So that is me. That is Cross.
I like Cross. I think you originally pitched this character to me as a super mutant, and then you were like, well, that seems obvious. And then you chose a ghoul, which I really appreciate taking the off road with that one. Next up, we've got May. How are we doing, May?
Doing okay. So, my name's May. I am a Gen Xer out in sunny California, and I play entirely too much D&D and video games. And today, for this Pitt excursion, I am going to be playing a self-aware assaultron named Barb, which you may at first think that her name is Barb because she has like barbed wire shoulder pads, like 1950s business lady shoulder pads, but mostly it's because her name was originally Babs and she hated it. So she's just going by Barb. And she was originally from she was part of the responders in Appalachia and traveled north to Pittsburgh with some of the last remaining survivors before the Scorched Plague wiped everybody else out. And ironically, she took a job with the Union trying to find some place where she could be helpful with as little risk of being destroyed beyond the point of being repairable as possible.
I like Barb. I like the idea of the Assaultron. I think that'll be really nice.
Yeah, and she has a grappling hook for a hand that she uses both as a tool and as a weapon. And she does have an eye laser, but she doesn't like to use it. It makes her self-conscious.
Next up, we have the host of the Fallout feed, Dames Who Game, I think is the correct version of that, and the United Wastelands Network, and a YouTube channel, and the million things that Jessica Starr does. We have Jessica Starr. How are you doing, Jessica Starr?
Hey, Dave. Greets, everybody. Yeah, I'm wicked happy to be here. I am Jessica Starr, and I do those things you said. You can find me at Sleep is for Tea on Twitter to keep up with all the things. I am a large Fallout fan, but I am not a tabletop role player ordinarily. So this is a little outside my comfort zone. We'll see how it goes. Character I'm playing is Janie. Janie is a survivor courier type. You may think courier, New Vegas. Not exactly. Her deal is her father was a postal worker. And so she was actually raised in a mail sort facility in a big old sectional center where they took cover with a community there. After that community fell apart and her father died, she ended up living out of his mail truck and has kind of been working as a courier messenger. Tried to settle down, fell on hard times. So she is here at the Pit to try to pick up with her old trade routes, area knowledge, and work her way up to where she can actually be selling stuff for them. You know, working as a supplier and provisioner, selling the merchandise, not just working on it. But she knows the area, and her actual skills, she's very melee-oriented and a people person.
Yeah, I feel like the New Vegas courier gets away from the courier-ness. So it's exciting to have a real courier here today.
Seriously. Like, what did he have that made him a courier? Like, I don't know. A big sack.
He delivered pain and some really terrible speech checks, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it.
What's really funny is my brain, the first thing I went to is, well, if she was a member of the pre-war post office, it means technically you are one of the last surviving vestiges of the old world government that exists in the Fallout universe.
You could look at it that way. Now, she was not duly licensed herself. It was her father's. It was her father's thing. But she does. Speaking of unions, her father was big on the union, and she's got her APW belt buckle and her father's belt as her favorite trinket that she always wears as his memory.
I like that a lot. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that deal. All right. While we have a second here, Jessica, the character sheet, I've assigned jobs to people based on what they have trained for. So you all have been together for a month. And so your character seemed like the most capable of being a, what did I call it on here?
Grinding.
A grinder, yeah.
Grind.
So that means you get an auto axe and you got +2 to your melee weapons. And you got better armor too. That kind of gets you another bump up for getting into some down and dirty stuff. I don't know if we're going to get really into combat this session, but probably next session we'll do some of that. And kind of throw that out there. Now, let me do my little intro and we'll get with the program. In 1886, Carnegie Steel invented a new open hearth system for forging steel. This system made it possible to manufacture giant steel beams as well as armor, which the United States Navy took an immense interest in. Andrew Carnegie desperately wanted to grow his steelmaking empire, but he needed the most crucial resource: workers. These workers became disgruntled by the requirements of working long hours under poor conditions for very low wages. They decided that they have had enough and demanded better conditions for their employment. They formed a union and began striking to block access to the plant from the management and replacement workers that they had hired. Carnegie hired the Pinkertons, a private military group, and they attacked the steel workers. While 7 workers died and others were severely injured, they held off the Pinkertons and forced their surrender. This caught the attention of the governor of Pennsylvania, and he sent in the National Guard to reinstall the Carnegie's administration in the steel plant. The leaders of this union of workers were charged with conspiracy, riot, murder, and treason. The union laid in shambles for several years as any threats to the production of military development were answered and subsequently squashed. It wasn't until the Second World War the steelworking unions across America came together to forge a new path together, and with greater numbers came greater power. The subsequent years presented new technologies that relied on the steel industry: giant missiles, robots, and even personal mechanized infantry suits. When the bombs fell, production halted, and as the residents of Pittsburgh and the surrounding area emerged, they saw a ruined bones of America. They came together and turned the steel mills back on to reinforce a new regime devoid of corrupt capitalist overlords, a union of the people and their work. In this new American wasteland, resources have become even more precious and coveted. The steel of the pit is coveted, and when there's a lack of a resource that cripples communities, there's often war, and war never changes. The orange sky of the pit beats through the windows of the bunkhouse. It's a small shack, but fairly well assembled out of reinforced beams and welded sheet metal. Your bunks provide immense comfort in comparison to the makeshift sleeping arrangements of the wasteland. This is your first day as a working crew at the mill. You all made your way here a few weeks prior and spent time shadowing some of the more seasoned workers. Due to the constraints of outside interference, the large portion of workforce that left the pit for a land deeper in Appalachia, you all have been on the fast track, learning, as one does, all aspects of the business, with very little time to soak it all in. Now, I would like to take turns again with everybody, describing the physical appearance of their characters and also what they were dreaming about while they were sleeping. And we'll do it in the same order, so we'll start with Cody.
All right. Well, Timmy Dindrin is pretty scrawny. I mean, he was, he had a career before the bombs fell. So at this point, he's quite a bit older. And yes, he's very scrawny. He's got just a frazzled look about him constantly. It's from pretty much the second that he wakes up, he is uncomfortable being in a dense city like this. He wants to be out back into the woods like it was before the bombs fell. So just imagine somebody who is perpetually nervous and you've pretty much got him. I like to think that he was probably dreaming about being able to start a greenhouse again, and being able to continue what he had spent so much of his life doing before the bombs fell.
Next up, we got Cross.
Cross is a ghoul. He is pretty muscular, which is strange for a ghoul. I'm not sure how you really define that. I guess just a bit more bulky than ghouls are. Fists and arms sort of wrapped up, almost like you would see a prize fighter, have their wrists and fists protected. Barefooted, comfortable clothing, and for whatever reason, a cowboy hat. I'm not sure, how that fits in the ensemble, but he seems to like it. Not sure. His dream, high school. Forgot his locker combination again. It happens every now and then. Doesn't matter how long you've been out of high school, you always have one of those dreams. You forgot your books, you forgot where your classes were. Just that.
I like it. Janie.
Yeah, so I actually put a picture of my character in my character sheet. I don't know if anyone else can see that. She is a brunette, relatively in shape woman with a 50s aesthetic. She wears usually slacks and flannel shirts and button downs with her armor over top. Very comfortable, very capable. American as apple pie, really.
And what did Janie dream about?
What did Janie dream about last night? Just getting to work.
Okay, I like it. Some nights are like that. Some nights you put the head down the pillow and then you raise your head up and then it's sunny out and you're like, what happened? I understand. Next up, we got Barb.
So Barb, being a Saltron, didn't actually sleep, but she was in a corner standing up in power saver mode. She looks like you'd expect a Saltron to look, with the exception that instead of an Saltron blade or a claw, she has a large, like, nautical grappling hook and a makeshift winch that has been attached to her arm. The color of her paint is very much it looks like it was originally supposed to be a bluish color, and it's kind of faded to a teal. It's kind of acid etched itself to a little bit of a green, but in spots where it's dented and scraped, you can see there is actually an automotive quality red layer of paint underneath it. So she's obviously been repainted at some point. And not in the best shape, but obviously done with great care. There's a decal of a responder's heart with a heartbeat blip going through the middle of it that has been spray painted over her chest plate, although it is definitely starting to crack and fade and become less and less legible, as there's been no one to touch it up in recent years. And even though she does not dream, she did spend some time before shutdown reviewing some of her digital files, going over what she's planning to do today on the job.
Do Asoltrons dream of electric sheep?
That is a really good question. You're going to have to ask her later.
Okay, cool. Everyone please roll a perception plus athletics check for difficulty 0.
What kind of die is that?
So all the checks at the top left of your character sheet, you'll hit that D20.
And you roll 2d20 every time.
Two,
unless you
thank
want
you.
to buy some.
Yep, 2d20 is kind of the default.
Yep.
That's it. We're doing it.
Wow.
We're doing it.
Everyone got a success. Everyone kind of wakes up out of bed a little bleary-eyed. Everyone kind of like almost like tips over a little bit, but manages to like get it back together. I'm not sure how a robot almost falls, but I have watched those Boston Dynamic videos, and I can tell you that when they kick them, that they are pretty good at that. Do you all have any like morning rituals as a group? You all have been together for just a few weeks, but you're not quite familiar with each other. Is there anything that you all like to do in the morning, or are you just kind of like a chill group? You're just here to work, that kind of situation.
Timmy takes a Mentat.
Okay. All right, let's get it rolling. Let's do some drugs in the morning. Yeah, pop those mentats. Get that thing rolling.
I don't even know how long those last, but that's what he does.
A couple of minutes of clear thinking. That sounds wonderful.
He started that in grad school. Never kicked the habit.
It's part of his deal.
I guess I'll just the actual effect is like re-roll next perception and intelligence test, but
some people like
keep
coffee.
that in mind.
Some people might smoke a cig. Jimmy?
Timmy Dendron.
Or Timmy, yeah. Just
My girl is just stretching and checking her equipment. That's what she usually does in the morning. Checks her straps, checks her gear, trying to figure out how this auto act she is in possession of fits into the lore. Things like that.
I like that. So at this point, a klaxon rings from outside the shack, which signals that it's time to report to your station for your shift. You'll need to report the locker room for your assignments and clock in very soon. So would you all like to go clock in for work, or is there anything that you want from your sleeping habitat, like taking a mentat or such?
All good.
All right. So you all exit the bunkhouse and go into the workyard. There's other small groups that pass by, kind of covered in dirt and soot. Smog is kind of all over the air, and it's raising from all the different stacks. And you all make your way to the fifth facility. It's a large, long brick structure that towers into the sky. As you enter the locker room, a person standing holding a clipboard is making notes. They're wearing a dirty red shirt and kind of work breeches, and they sport kind of like a long beard with a bald head on top. They're covered in tattoos. They eye the group and flag them down and say, "Hey, my name's Scott, and I'll be your preliminary supervisor for your first few shifts. Yins guys ready to get suited up? Or do Yins have any questions before we get started?"
I don't think we have enough training. We haven't gone over the safety, and I'm not comfortable with starting today. So if I could talk to somebody about how I would like to go back through the training program, please.
What's your name, son?
It's Timmy Dendron. Actually, Dr. Timmy Dendron.
Dr. Timmy Dendron. Yeah. Listen, you've done your training. We don't have any time to waste. It's pretty important that we get this thing started here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. I know that
okay.
You've got your assignment as a grafter. Did you know how to work the torch that you got?
They showed me how to use the torch, but it just seems really dangerous.
Well, I'm sorry, kid. You're part of the crew. I'm not really great at pep talks. Maybe you want to. Is there a leader here? Is there a natural leader in your group?
Just stay behind us, Timmy. We'll take care of you. Don't you worry.
Okay.
Build what needs built. We'll be the vanguard. You know what? If you see one of us, you see something go bad, you can run the other direction. Don't even worry about it.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay.
Quick question for the foreman, though. This area we're hitting today, is it a regular work site, or are we going out somewhere new?
Now you're doing the steel mill today. We've just got you set up. We've had some trouble on the outside, so we're just doing processing today. It's a really simple job. We just had a crew in there earlier. You're just going to go in there, and we're just going to start making steel. We've got the materials. We're just going to, go through the process, melt it down, make it into the ingots, ship it out. It's really just a easy type of work that's easy to roll through, and doesn't require a lot of thought. There's not a lot of danger involved, but you all have had the training, so I think you'll be fine.
So the Sultron steps up with kind of like that soft servo clanking sound that they make, and looks at the foreman and asks, "So, trouble outside. What kind of trouble are we talking about?"
Well, the fanatics have been kicking up their attacks, and they seem to be a little more well-armed than usual. It's hard really to get any of those raw materials. We're just trying to hold down the plant for now, and really reinforce it. We really don't want anybody getting in. It's important we protect our own. With all the people that left, a while back for Appalachia, we're cut short for work. We wish we got you more training, but this is what we're here to do as part of the Local 42, and we live and die by our work.
I ain't gonna lie. I think I'd much rather smack a taste out of their mouth than work on some steel today.
All right, listen. I guess we have the crew assigned here. I can't go changing crews in the middle of the day. That's just not something Yins are ready for, something I'm not comfortable with. So do the work today, and then tomorrow we can look at sending you all out to go collect some resources from the scrapyard, and it'd be fun. All right?
This'll be
If you
great.
say so.
All right.
This is what we've been training for. Just point us in the right direction.
As
Great.
soon as Cross realizes that you're going to be like, no, he's going to let out like just this big yawn. Like just...
All right, so he kind of goes over and goes to a corner of this room. There's kind of a big steel door. There's lockers kind of like lying up everywhere. It's like a locker room with a big steel door, and there's cards in this little receptacle beside the door. He pulls out 4 of them, and he takes it over to you and says, "All right, here's your time cards. Just pop them in the machine and it'll punch out the time. Once all 4 of you have punched, though, the doors are going to open and it's time for work. Once the last of you have punched the cards, doors will close. You're in there for the day. You want the doors to open, you got to have somebody clock out from the inside, and then the doors will only close once all 4 of you have clocked out together. Got that?"
Got it. All for one.
So the 4 of you enter the plant floor. The workroom is covered with large presses and furnaces that line the sign of the building. Several workbenches line the workshop center with steel ingots strewn about in bins. A giant pit sits in the middle of the floor as large steel buckets sit on a conveyor belt above the workroom. Scaffolding lines the sides as a means of access to higher elevations of the room. A large steel beam reinforces the roof to carry the large steel buckets without the ceiling caving in. The door shuts quickly behind the 4 of you, and it shakes the buckets above. You hear a rusty, loud creak and then a ching as a bucket plummets from the ceiling down to the floor. It lands on the ground, crashing and cracking the cement below. As the bucket tips over towards the group, a red liquid trickles out and pools into the cracks below. You spy a dark red denim covering of what looks like a mangled human body that slowly rolls out. There is a gleaming curved blade implanted in the body. Scott turns to the group. "Don't move forward yet. The foundation is unstable, and any work that happens could be very dangerous and cause even more damage. Right now, Gins are the only ones innocent of doing this. I've been suspecting there's foul play about, and if word gets out too quickly about this, there could be a riot, or worse, among our already strained group. Cross, you were looking for something different to do today, right?"
Well, I mean, I'm usually one making bodies, not trying to figure out how they came about.
Well, it doesn't matter, because I'm changing your work for the day and taking you off this mill duty. You all have the freshest eyes for this. You all are brand new. You all don't have a lot of the connections that I do, not a lot of the opinions and biasness that I do. I don't want it to impede or have any preconceptions about the situation, but I'm going to need your help to investigate this incident.
Excuse me, but we were definitely not trained for that. We were definitely not trained for that.
Listen, we live and die by our work, Timmy. That's just a part of what it is. And this is the work for the day. And if you don't like it, sorry about it.
Okay, if that's what the work is for the day.
So we done got some fella been stabbed and thrown in a crucible? Is that what I'm looking at here?
That I'm remaining an absent party from this. You got to make your own preconceptions about this scene. I tell you what. You all take a good gander of everything here, and then I'll clock you out. In order to save on time, I'm going to need you to come back to me by 8 p.m. and tell me exactly what's happened. You can collect all of your knowledge in here, in this room, in this foundry. And then once you all clock out, I'm closing the doors. And I'm bringing my team in. And that's when the politics start to play. And I want to keep you all out of that the best I can. So for now, I'd say try to gather some evidence, figure out something that may have gone wrong, look at...
But the doors wouldn't open until we clocked out. You're saying you're going to let us out off our work shift, do a different work shift, work on what might have happened here for you, and then you'll clock us out? How do we get out of the room?
I'm gonna do your time. This is an unusual situation. This is not something that I feel particularly want to be involved in, but I'll give you your time cards back. I was just here to you. This is your first time like really going on your own here. And so I was going to give you your time cards back. And once you got those, you could all clock out. I could have that record of it, so that absolves you of any kind of guilt. I don't want you all to be guilty. Clearly, I don't believe you all did.
We don't want to get in trouble. I mean, I think we see what happens to people who don't follow the rules around here. Is this what we can expect?
I don't know whether this was union or some outside interference or what. I'm staying out of this.
Okay, but you said you suspected there had been some kind of foul play happening. Do you recognize the blade? Do you know who this man might be? Or
I don't
woman?
think this is
Can we even
union.
tell?
Do a speech plus charisma check for difficulty 1.
So, Janie, that's actually one of your built-in skills over in the bottom left in the orange. So if you... Oh, no.
Bottom left in the orange. Okay, so do I just click it?
You could, but...
Mm-hmm. So how the rolls work is you roll a special stat plus your skill. So this is charisma from special and speech from your skills. And I gave it a difficulty 1. So that means that Janie has to get 1 success to be successful. Now,
Okay.
Janie rolled a 9 and a 20. Now, she got the success that she needed, but a 20, anytime that there's a 20 in play, it's kind of like opposite rules. This isn't like D&D where you're like, oh, crit 20.
Yeah, that's where there's a complication, right?
Where there's a complication with it. So you're asking, essentially, you asked Scott, the kind of crew leader here, what exactly, asking about the body, asking if he knew anything foul play wise, right?
Yeah, I was asking if there were, he had mentioned that he thought there was some foul play, he suspected. And then I asked if he recognized, the sword implement, anything about the corpse.
Okay. Scott kind of looks at you, Janie, and says, on top of the fanatics that have been attacking here, I mean, we had a big division in the group for the when really half our workforce left for Appalachia some time ago. I'm not sure if I fully trust everyone here. We're a tight-knit group, sure, but this is all, I mean, in the scheme of years, fairly new. This is a hard place to be, and we all make a lot of sacrifice to come together as a team, and I think that sometimes is a hard pill to swallow for some people. So I'm not ruling out outside play, but it could be one of our own. I don't want to go accusing anybody. I want you all to be the people that figure that out and help inform me. That way I'm not biased. I don't really know who it could be. And I don't have any clue what that weapon is. It looks curved in there. I've never seen anything like that before. And that's about all the help I can give you. And I'm just feeling I'm feeling real uncomfortable discussing this. So look around a little bit and come back to me.
Well, let us not tread any more on your delicate sensibilities. You just head on out and we'll take a look at it, okay?
I'm gonna stand in the corner here near the door, and I'll take some notes.
Well, you have fun in the corner taking those uncomfortable notes of yours.
So he sits he's kind of like standing near the door, holding everybody's time cards, taking notes in a clipboard. You all have got this body in the middle of the floor.
Classic Foreman. Classic Foreman.
Classic.
Just in the corner taking notes on a clipboard.
Watching.
Yeah. Work orders, who's going where, who's doing what times. So you all have got a body in the middle of the floor with that's kind of like hanging out of a giant like barrel. You know those barrels from like really the pit in Fallout 3 that are kind of like running above. It's empty, but just for this, the blood and the body inside.
The steel cauldron. Okay, you're saying body, but it's really just bones and a garment, right?
It
Bones
is
and
like a
some clothing.
mangled body, and it's been there for it doesn't. You would have to investigate it, I would say, or look into that situation and try to approach and figure that out. But from where you're standing, it looks kind of like a mangled mess of denim blood and the shining silver sword.
Ross would like to disturb the remains.
How would Cross like to disturb the remains?
Well, that sword looks pretty interesting.
Okay, so you approach the body and you see that it's a worker actually covered in denim that's been slashed a few times across the chest. There's blood everywhere, and the sword is actually curved into the body. It's kind of like curved in, and you see that there's like a piece of parchment that's been like stabbed through the body, kind of like a shish kebab.
Okay, so like when we're talking curved sword, are we thinking like scimitar, that type of curved, or did somebody just put a lot of English on this thing and it's like bent?
It is very curved. It is like circular almost.
Like a sickle.
Circular, okay.
So I know Barb's not good at intelligence checks, but can she do some sort of check of her memory banks to see if she recognizes what kind of weapon this might be?
Sure, yeah. Do intelligence plus melee weapons for difficulty 1.
Okay. Intelligence and melee weapons.
I have quite a bit in melee. I think I'm going to take that roll as well.
I have one
not get it.
success.
1 success. I think that passes. You kind of recognize this sword. It's not exactly a sword. It's more of a farming implement. You think, Barb, you've computed based on the trajectory of the sword and you've kind of like done a nice little scan of that. It is indeed a conventional farm sickle.
Is there a hammer nearby?
There's a ton of hammers nearby.
Oh
Hammers
no!
everywhere.
So much
Hammers
suffering.
everywhere.
Oh my
Every single
God.
work bit.
Oh,
That's a difficulty -1 test. There are hammers. There is
Dude got
steel.
CCCP'd.
Yeah, he did. Wow. All right.
So
well, Timmy doesn't
investigating
want-
this body
Go
a
ahead.
little more, you had said that there's slashes. Do any of them appear to have been on the back? Like, did he get slashed in the back?
Do a perception plus melee weapons for difficulty 2 for me.
I will give that a shot.
And you do
Hey,
2 successes. Very nice. So you
Get
notice
crit.
that the front has actually 3 slashes kind of diagonally, and
Bam, bam, bam.
and the sickle is kind of like implanted in where his heart would be. But
bam.
the slashes really don't look like something a sickle would do, and that's just on the front of him. On the back of him, you don't see any kind of. You kind of turn him over. You don't see any melee weapons being used. Like no more slashes.
Okay.
Pretty much anything melee weapons has not been used on his back, just his front.
Gotcha. So it doesn't sound like he was blindsided. Like no one came up from behind him and, like stuck him in the back or anything. Sounds like
nothing with a melee weapon.
Okay. Nothing with a melee weapon. Okay. That doesn't rule out blunt force trauma or energy or bullets.
Right.
Or anything like that. But the overt slashes and then the slashes on the front don't really match the profile of the sickle is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and you notice that where the sickle is stuck in, there's actually a piece of parchment that his, like, you can see the blood around it where it's, like, been impaled like a kebab, but it is stuck in that sickle, and it looks foreign to the guy's body.
Well, Timmy's not going to pull it out. Somebody else is going to have to pull that out.
Oh, yeah, I'll pull that.
All right, do you strength plus melee weapons for difficulty 2?
Strength melee?
Yep.
How did I miss that?
So
God's green earth did I miss that? Okay.
So you go to pull out the sickle from this guy's right arm. And by the way, content warning, I generally DM and GM a little bit more gruesome. And that's pretty much the only place that I go is just from the normal gore and violence that you see from Fallout. So when Cross pulls out the sickle from the guy's kind of like right breast, he actually pulls too hard and it rips off kind of parts of his flesh and dislocates his entire arm. And now his arm is lying separately from his body. Cross holds the sickle up in his hand with the piece of parchment steel kind of like impaled upon the sickle, undamaged. But the guy's body is now has a severed arm and pretty much ripped off right chest.
Cross will giggle.
Oh, that's one way to do it.
That's part of it, I suppose.
Oops. I'll still try to retrieve the parchment.
All right, yeah. You retrieve the parchment, and you read the parchment, and then
everything else gets dropped unceremoniously, like this.
The parchment reads in hasty and like kind of like hastily drawn script. The sickle man was here.
Hey, y'all. Sickle man was here.
Okay, well, somebody's into dramatics. On this body, now we know it's pretty scarred. Is there any recognizable facial features? Like, can we say this person had a beard, didn't, male, female? Like, what can we really tell about it? Anything?
You can tell that it is like just from like if you're talking about general features. It is a male worker. It looks like they are dressed in their union uniform. If I can give me a second, I can tell you exactly what they're dressed in, and they are wearing a goalkeeper's gear. So they're kind of like they kind of have like a denim uniform, but they also have their goalkeeper gear on as well.
Need to take notes for this session.
They were maybe a goalie type on the crew, like Cross is what we're saying.
Yeah.
There's a few different kinds of jobs that wear goalie armor. We have job. By the way, everybody has jobs. Janie is a grinder and uses an auto axe. Barb is a grappler that uses a grappling hook. Cross is a goalie that uses a hockey stick, and Timmy is a grafter that uses a like an arc torch.
Sounds to me if they know his role, and we could probably identify this man.
Any sign of his hockey stick?
Yeah, do perception plus melee weapons for difficulty 3.
Can I use one of my AP for this?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to roll 3 d20s, and what was intelligence
melee?
plus melee?
Mm-hmm.
Cross your fingers, boys. 0.
No, that was mine. You crushed it with 4.
Got 4. Yeah, I got my AP back.
Very nice. Very nice. That is a big thing. So you actually see in kind of like the rafters, you look up and you see a grappling hook that's just kind of stuck up in the rafters of the building above where this body has been. So there is the only melee weapon that you see in this building is the sickle and the grappling hook above.
So you said the bucket fell from the ceiling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can Timmy investigate how the bucket was, I guess, detached or?
Yeah. So do a perception plus energy weapons for a difficulty 2.
Two successes.
Yeah, 2 successes.
Nice.
Great. That's nice. So you see that. Hang on, let me find that detail. Where's that detail? I've got many a detail here. So you see that like there's connectors for these buckets up top, and there are several places where you can recognize the residue of a laser rifle that's been fired above in the rafters. And so there is one of those buckets, the like side of it, like where it connects in and holds it up, has been like it looks like it had been slightly vaporized and then probably broke off for it to fall later on. So you recognize several like blasts from a laser rifle up in the rafters.
Laser blast and a grappling hook. They're going to think Barb did it.
I do think Barb did it.
And she's from Appalachia. Oh, no.
Well, depending on how long ago it happened.
Power saving mode, my ass.
Quick note, though, with the energy weapon discharge, if that was there and that's what hurt the cable, so this fell, it might have had nothing to do with the guy's death. If he's not showing any energy weapon burns or marks, right? He's only showing stab wounds.
He's not showing any. Actually, no. You didn't check him for. You only looked at him for melee weapons. You could look at him for more things and kind of investigate based on your skills. You could do medicine checks. You could do a few different things to figure that out. So if you want to investigate the body,
anyone got medicine? Because we might need to.
It's not tagged, but I have 4 points of medicine. So yeah, can I like?
Jeez,
do it.
Can I like very cautiously look at the body?
Yeah,
it's very scary.
Do a difficulty 3 perception plus medicine, and I'm going to give you mixed results based on your roll.
Okay.
So
I took a Mentats here, so I don't know, what does this thing do? I can re-roll one of them, I think. Yeah. That's right. All right.
Drugs.
You said difficulty 3. All right. Perception, medicine. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay.
I think Mentat's going.
Okay. All right.
I think he's dead. Probably.
Okay.
Jimmy just had a panic attack.
They were.
So you actually go to look at the body and like you try to like pull and look around at this guy, and just from where Cross has like completely severed this guy's arm freshly, like you were just really anxious and nervous. And go ahead and roll a combat damage dice for me, and you puke. And that is how much it hurts you, is whatever you roll. Effects are just going to be 1 damage.
Just roll 1 dice?
One combat dice, yes, please.
Okay.
You take 0 damage, so you managed to save yourself. That was just some bile from your stomach of trying to investigate that. You kind of like wipe yourself up a little bit. The one thing that you notice after you've kind of gathered yourself is that the guy's feet and legs look a little crooked.
Okay.
You okay there, Cross?
Who, me? Yeah.
Yeah. Dendron, you good?
He doesn't say anything. He's trying to compose
Janie?
himself.
Holding up.
Well,
Some people can't hold their homicide, it appears.
it would seem. So Barb is going to try and grapple that grappling hook.
Okay.
Grapple the grappling hook.
She's going to try
hook.
and grapple the grappling hook.
Okay.
Fancy.
All right.
All right.
So that would be, I would say, a athletics plus melee weapons, I think. Well, no, that would be
Two skills.
No, it's
two
throwing.
skills. It would be strength plus melee weapons.
Or
for
throwing.
difficulty 0.
Because she doesn't have a launcher. She does have to throw it. But either way.
Yeah,
Oh,
difficulty
throwing
0,
is
strength plus melee weapons.
Okay. What is the distance on that? Is it a medium distance?
It is kind of like right. I mean, the room is big, but it's like right above where the bucket kind of, not right above where the bucket is, but kind of like over the side. It's in your general facility. I would say that for a grappling hook, it's close range.
Okay, so melee plus weapons. No disadvantage to this one. And 3 successes. So she doesn't exactly grapple it. She uses her offhand and sort of swings the grappling hook and uses it to bounce it off the other grappling hook to knock it loose. And then both the grappling hooks fall to the ground.
I like that. And when that happens, a window is actually shaken a little bit on the side. That's kind of like up above in the rafters area where there's like a little catwalk where Timmy looked at the laser bits upstairs.
Okay, and Barb did see that, right? She saw that one of the windows is not secure, basically.
Yeah, I'm going to make it an assumed situation where everyone immediately shares information with everyone else. By the way, that way we're not having to go back and explain exactly, re-explain things a million times. Everyone kind of has a collective shared knowledge if you get a success and learn something.
Okay, so she's going to go over and she's going to wind up her own, like the reel that's attached to her arm and her grappling hook, and reel up her own grappling hook, and then she's going to go use her other hand to pick up the grappling hook she knocked free, and do a perception check on that.
Sure. Do perception plus melee weapons for difficulty 0.
Okay. Perception. Just not great. And melee weapons. All right. 3 successes.
Yeah, so you see this grappling hook, and this grappling hook is also covered in kind of residue from laser rifle fire. And based on the trajectory of where it was from, you could tell that it was coming from the catwalk beside of it, of how it attacked it. It's not from up above, like the lines are not diagonal of like where it would. I don't know. I've never seen what a laser rifle does, but imagine it leaves like a little bit of dust behind, whenever it fires. So it's not up and down on the grappling hook that was in there. It's kind of like left and right. So it came from a similar level that the grappling hook was on.
So we got some energy burns on this. Don't take this the wrong way, Dendron, but I think we got to get high.
Oh boy.
I should be able to climb up there if needed, if we think that's where it came from. But just a quick question. Have we been here long enough that we might know if these weapons were forged locally? Like, is there a way to tell if something was actually made here by the Union? So the grappling hook or the sickle? Like, markings, forge markings, something like that?
Yeah, I would say for that, you've been training, so just do like a... I'm not going to make you roll for... Let me see what I can dream up for this. I would say perception plus survival for a difficulty 0, because this is overall like your survival within the Union. And I'm not going to make you roll energy weapons, small guns, big gun. Like, I'm not going to have you go down that list, but I think survival is pretty comparable.
Perception plus survival.
There you go. You got 1 success. That's great. So you know that everyone pretty much has standard issue equipment. Some people bring in some extra stuff, but generally the benefit of working at the Union is you have a lot more bullets than other people, because that's one of the things that you're producing. So fusion cells, plasma cells, that stuff, people that use those weapons in the Union are pretty uncommon. You have never really seen farming equipment be used that often. Most of it's either industrial or car equipment, kind of fabricated around that. Basic farm equipment is not something that you see. So the sickle and somebody using a laser rifle are pretty foreign concepts to the local Union people.
Okay, so they do both appear to have met here. The sickle, maybe not so much. There's no way to really tell. Okay.
The grapple that was retrieved, did it have rope still attached to it, or was it just the metal part?
It had a rope. It had a rope attached to it, but it was broken.
There was a loose window, right? Can I look outside the window?
Yeah. Do you want to inspect the window? Do you want to look outside the window? What are you trying to do?
I guess both. I mean, yeah, if I'm going to go up to the window, I guess check the window to see, like, is it broken or whatever, but also to see, like, what is outside the window.
Do a perception plus energy weapons difficulty 0 for looking at the window, and do a perception plus melee weapons difficulty 1 for looking out the window.
And then it was melee weapons for the second one?
Yep, melee weapons for the second one. Yeah, you got 2 successes on both of those. So you notice on this window that the window has actually been broken open in some aspect, and then has been hastily used an arc torch that is the one like the one that you have, has tried to like weld it back together, and it didn't take. So that the window is still loose. And when you look out the window, you look down actually into the city, and it's kind of like, it's not in the Union compound. You're kind of like on the, not the outskirt of it, but kind of like at the very edge. This window is pretty high up. The walls are pretty sturdy. But you kind of look out of the compound and see a hockey stick below.
Okay. Does it seem like the grappling hook came in through that window? Is that like what would have...
It seems like the grappling hook did not come in through that window. It was being used to kind of like move through the rafters. I
have a theory about the grappling hook.
Do tell.
So it looks like our victim broke his feet, or broke his legs maybe. And if he was a one of the grapplers, he would have been wearing the hockey gear as well. So perhaps on his way up to investigate something, the rope was shot. He fell down. He broke his legs. Somebody finished the job with a blade.
So you think whatever happened, the grappling hook could belong to our victim?
Possibly, because it's part of the loadout for a grappler. Barb, can you confirm?
May, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
I can confirm that. If I was a human, which I'm obviously not, I would be wearing like heavier gear, goalie gear. Instead, I just have robot plating for obvious reasons. But the grappling hook is standard for a grappler. The hockey stick isn't, though. Is it possible we could be talking about 2 separate Union members here?
Well,
Or a couple.
let's stick with the victim here.
The victim we know about.
Right. So it's possible they were in some type of pursuit. It sounds like they were probably climbing up their particular grappling hook, that whomever was in the rafters had an energy weapon and was trying to shoot it off, like, get rid of it, because they weren't aiming down, they were aiming like horizontal. At some point the rope broke and this guy fell down. Legs broke.
Well, it seems like the coup de grace was done with the grappling hook. So why would somebody use an energy weapon and then switch to a literal farm implement to finish the job?
Because it was the Sickleman.
Sickle man.
Sickleman.
Can I try and remember if I know anything about a Sickleman, a legend or a crime scenes or anything from Appalachia?
Yeah, luck plus survival for difficulty 1.
Luck plus
While she
survival.
rolls, you were talking about someone tried to repair the window.
Yes.
Did it look like it was done from the inside or the outside?
It was done from the inside.
Yeah.
Luck
Yeah,
plus
I think
survival.
I'm starting to feel like possibly our victim was actually trying to escape with some information or something. And then the union didn't quite like that, so they kind of snuffed him out.
It's all real weird.
Yeah, I rolled 0, so I don't know nothing about no Sickleman.
I don't know nothing about no sickle man. No one thing about him.
Mm-hmm.
We really can't
their
tell
Sickleman.
if someone broke in and was doing something they shouldn't, or if someone was, letting
to
someone
break
else
out.
in, or it was a conspiracy gone wrong with someone letting someone else in. Stuff happened and then it went the wrong way for one of them. We really
Well, these
don't
are
know.
doors they lock behind us. You
Well,
have to go
exactly,
in and
that's
out as
why-
a group.
They got
That's
the
why I
window.
think it's somebody trying to escape out, right? And then that's why somebody was like, "Oh, we better seal this up," but then they kind of like broke out again, right?
So Barb is going to turn around and address the foreman and ask him, have there been any union workers who have gone missing in this warehouse that you know of? That people who have clocked in but never clocked out?
Scott the foreman kind of looks at Barb and says, we don't have anybody missing right now. Everybody's accounted for, but I'm not sure about the last crew that was in here. When you all are ready to go, I can pull their cards, and that should give you the names of the crew that was in here. I think it was 5 of them that were in here, and their jobs and their names. And I think if you tell me their names, I'll be able to tell you where they are. But once you leave here, I'm not going to let you back in.
Is there any way to tell who signed out this grappling hook?
Yeah, you would have the name of the grappler. You would have their name, their job, and what time they left.
If they left.
They
Well,
all
it doesn't
should
appear
leave
like
because
this
the
fella
doors were
left.
closed.
Yeah, well, they would have to all clock out. They wouldn't have to necessarily all leave, so someone could clock someone else out. Never occurred to me that this could have just happened. I assumed it was an old body. This is interesting.
It's hard to tell with all the radiation and pollutants in the air. Things don't decompose at the same rate they did in pre-war times.
Well, fresh is fresh,
I really wouldn't know. It's not my area of expertise. I can tell you if something's rusty or not, but
Actually, wouldn't know. Oh, okay. Yeah.
How fresh is that arm?
How fresh is that?
is it still dripping, DM?
How
Is it
fresh
like
is the
goopy?
arm?
Oh, are you asking me how fresh the art?
I'm asking you.
It's like
the
it's
arm.
a gory mess.
Did it
it's not
bleed?
like a necrotic body. It's a gory. I described it
I
as
didn't ask if it was messy. I asked if it was fresh.
it's
Is he
fresh.
gonna eat it?
It's fresh
Okay.
meat. What do you have?
All
A
right.
cannibal perk? Like
Oh, it was
what-
probably tough today. Okay,
If
okay.
anybody
the cannibal
with a
perk?
cannibal perk, most definitely it would be Cross.
Barb, would you be so kind as to grapple or attempt to grapple up the hockey stick that is outside of the window?
I can try.
Good luck.
So do I have to grapple to get up to the catwalk, or can I move myself up to the catwalk and then try and grapple outside the window?
There's like stairs to the catwalk. Like you can
All
just
right.
go up the stairs.
So-
it's navigating between all that stuff and getting to the buckets. That's what the grappler.
So
would do.
I've got that fun servo balancing on tiptoes, a Saltron thing down as I gingerly ascend the stairs, go over to the catwalk, and I give the frame of the window a push so it opens. How far away is the
medium
hockey stick?
range.
Medium range? I am going to try and use my grappling hook to snag that sucker, and I'm going to use my an AP point on that too.
Sure, difficulty 2. Go ahead.
All right, so we're going to go with strength plus. Is it going to be throwing or melee?
I'm gonna say strength plus throwing, because it's so far away that you're gonna have to throw the grappling hook to get there.
Yep.
If it's close, I'm gonna have you just do melee weapons.
Okay, perfect. It is medium range. I don't need to try and go for a long range. So rolling 3 successes.
3 successes, very nice. So you
Wow.
managed to grab. You
I get
throw
my
your
AP
grappling
back
hook down.
again.
You get the hockey stick and you pull it back up. The most noticeable thing is that there's zip ties that are attached to it that are bigger than like them actually like fully tightened on. They have a lot of room for something else.
Huh. You don't
Well,
see that
something-
every day.
Something could have been strapped to it and smuggled in with the hockey stick. Interesting. We're doing all this from in here. I know after we finish investigating the scene, we are going to leave and have time to investigate outside too. Correct?
Yeah, essentially outside suspects, that kind of stuff.
So can Barb take one more scan around from the higher elevation before she heads down with the hockey stick? And I would like to use specifically my hazard detection mod. While I do that, I'm going to try and look for anything else in this building that could be considered a dangerous hazard to me or to any of the humans in my team, something that we haven't noted yet, just in case there's something, a trap or another issue that we might run into while we're looking around.
Yeah, so I'm going to do something a little wild crazy here. I'm going to give you that test for a difficulty 5.
Oh, damn.
And I'm going to allow... So you're using a hazard mod. So what is the
Right.
rule for using a hazard mod?
If you use survival, drop the difficulty by 1.
Okay, so here's what I'll allow you to do. I can either drop the difficulty. I'll give you an option. I can either drop the difficulty by 1, give you a difficulty 4, and then give you mixed success. Or I can do a difficulty 5, give you a mixed success, but allow 2 people to assist you.
I actually call down to my team and say, somebody you guys, can I get 2 of you to give me a second set of eyes up here?
Yeah, I mean, Timmy's already up, still on the catwalk, so I'll help.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the assist.
Yeah, so do a difficulty 5 roll, and then your assists are only 1d20. So who would like to assist Barb?
I mean, I
What type of
absolutely
roll we
can.
making?
Right.
It is perception plus survival.
Plus survival.
Okay.
And I'm gonna throw 3 of my AP at this so that I can do 2 more extra dice too.
Okay.
'Cause I want
well,
this to stick.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I'm looking for 8, so
I got a success for you.
Okay, cool.
yeah, I'll take a roll there. We're doing
Yeah, help me out, big man.
perception for survival. We'll see. Yeah, my eyes aren't great.
That's okay. Cross your fingers,
You put
boys.
hats in your eyes.
I've got one success.
Dear.
Wow.
And
That was
a 20.
Uh.
You guys should have
Oh,
taken
boy.
your Mentats, your morning Mentats.
I don't do
Where are you going to put it?
chems, sorry. But I got a 20, but I got a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, so
Great.
Great.
it's fine. It's a mixed success. There's 4 details that I could have given you, and so you're only going to get 2 of them.
Oh, boy.
The 2 things that you notice, one of them being a light blood trail that leads from essentially the catwalk down to a little area on the shop floor that was directly below where the grappling hook was.
Mhm.
You also see, dented metal pieces in the catwalk, almost like the catwalk has been dented by something. It looks like almost like giant feet.
That's what I was
Giant feet. So something either a little bit heavier or a little bit harder than most standard humans.
Yes.
Well, that's really not good.
Is there any machinery that would approximate that? I mean, obviously power armor, but like a fork truck or something with the blades?
I would say that it's more consistent with power armor, super mutants, a large. I'll give you that.
Yep.
Something large. A
Like clearly feet is what you're saying.
Yeah, clearly it looks like some sort of like dent the size of very large feet.
Well, I hate to say it, but a combination of power armor and energy weapons tells me that somebody's running around here who most definitely isn't a part of the Union. Maybe more than one person.
I don't know what the zip ties would be for.
Possibly to attach the hockey stick to somebody's back or to somebody's equipment so that they could leave it behind when they needed to. Or they just dropped it.
Is there enough? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I had been thinking the sickle, but the shape doesn't really match up with it. Like, what would someone smuggle in with a hockey stick that would then be removed? Either a weapon or something else.
You could, and this is dark, but you could restrain somebody by zip tying them hand and foot to a hockey stick and just carry them over your shoulder like
God.
basically like
a
Return of the
hog or
Jedi.
something,
Yeah,
right?
like Return of the Jedi to stick you on a fire somewhere. Yeah,
It would explain the easily detachable arms.
it honestly would.
Maybe. Okay.
That's pretty much the last bit of evidence that I'll give you based on that big skill check. So at this time, Scott kind of flags you all down and says, "So what are some theories? I mean, what are some theories so far that you all have, yins have figured out as far as what's going on here? You got any theories?"
Yep, I believe there's been a murder.
Well, no shit, Sherlock.
That's
What are you,
great.
cross-eyed?
How about you say that again? We'll figure out how your eyes cross.
It's not the way you speak to your supervisor, son.
While
I
they're
ain't
talking,
your son, pal.
I ain't your buddy, son.
Barb's gonna walk over and see where that blood trail leads. The one she spotted underneath the grappling hook.
Oh, it led up to the catwalk. So essentially where that window was. It was just a line to like up the catwalk. Kind of like, it wasn't like a giant like pool, but it was like some like drops of blood. It wasn't like a giant mess of gore, like it wiggling around the fresh arm of the victim.
So
And
it was
another thing.
So it was blood spore that told us exactly what we had already figured out. Okay.
We never like checked the body if it had like anything other than the parchment on it, right? Like
Had a
we didn't check
sickle.
its pockets or anything.
And she
can I do that?
shows off her claw hand and her grappling hook. Not it.
I'll
Scott
go
kinda
through the clothes.
Scott kind of looks at you all and is like, you're running out of time. You all have spent plenty of time in here looking over stuff, and if I can't keep you all in here for too long because you all aren't actually doing work. And then if I keep you in here too long with the body, they may think that you already messed with it. And he kind of looks at Cross, and he's like,
we're on the clock here.
He kind of looks at Cross, and he's like, why are you covered in blood?
I don't know.
Do speech plus charisma for a difficulty 2.
Yeah, I mean, he was removing the murder weapon.
Yeah, that's 1 success. Yeah, he looks at you, he's like, Cross, did you defile that body in some form or fashion?
I mean, no worse than a murderer did.
He looks at his clipboard and he's like, God damn it.
That's all for now. Tune in next week for more from